We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for your voice in my headset on friendship. And it's also the white male over 50. And it might be the PB church as well. So anyways, it's going to be interesting. I don't know. There's 7 questions that might be gone through. And so the first question, well, before we do that, Nora, is there anything you wanted to cover today? Luke, is there anything you wanted to cover today?
The only thing would be ego.
So, so Courtney, my pickleball coach, she went ahead and when I asked her what the biggest challenge in playing pickleball with men, and she said ego, maybe. She says ego, maybe you can ask men. But people who have ego typically are not going to say, "Hey, I have ego issues." They just aren't. So, what's your question as it relates to ego, Luke?
Solution, like, okay, let's say I have ego issues. How do I not have ego issues? Be humble.
I think what you do is you have a really big vision, really high goals, and then you just take ownership of like everything. Because then you have to grow. You put yourself in a position where you have to grow. And when you have to grow, you're in a bunch of, oh, warning for everybody. We don't know where this thing could go. So it could go south really, really fast. So who knows what the language could be and the topic. I mean, it could get messy fast. And so just heads up warning, it could go there. And so when, this year is the year of growing. And so I just figured out about 11 minutes ago, there's an inverse relationship between people who, like, people are asking me, Mark, why are you sharing that you don't care? Like, why are you saying that so much? And it's almost like when you do so many things that seem like you're caring, you have to tell people, remind them because they see all this stuff that you're doing and they think that you care, which is an inverse reaction, opposite reaction to what most people do is they don't do anything. They just talk about caring. So I've got to go ahead and constantly remind people I'm not doing this because I care. And they're very appreciative of that for sure. I mean, it's starting to spread. It's starting to be good. With ego, Luke, you have high goals, and so you have to grow because you can't, you know, I know one guy, and he's like, well, my goal in life was to get married, have a house, a family, and a good job. Really? I mean, it's fine if that's what it is. The challenge is that dude's life got to stick with, like, now that he accomplished that, he got married and he had all those things. Now he has nothing to live for except himself. So he's got nothing pushing him to grow, nothing pushing him to like to do anything. So our goal, once we achieve our goal, then okay, now it's time to relax. It's time to enjoy life. Okay. And that's when you become narcissistic, self-centered, the ego goes way up because you achieved everything that you wanted to achieve. And now it becomes about yourself. Elaine, anything you want to accomplish?
No, I don't think I do.
Nor anything you want to accomplish before we get into the 7 questions I have?
No.
So the first question I have is being black and white, lazy, stupid, or something else. What do you think? All of you.
You mean if a person's black or white?
Yeah, so if somebody's black and white, this is what it is, or this. It's black, it's white, this is what it is. Um, is it because they're stupid, maybe ignorant, lazy, or something else?
Definitely could be ignorant.
Okay, so ignorant is not knowing what to do. Stupid is not doing what we know. Is lazy being stupid?
Yeah, to a certain extent.
I mean, what do you need education on that? And so, do people inherently know things and they just, like Patrick would say, they're willfully ignorant?
Okay, so define lazy.
Not seeking, actively working, sacrificing, taking risks, not doing everything we can do to be the best in that particular area. So people that are black and white, this has just come to me. It's mind boggling. I'm like, it's so easy. Like, why can't somebody take criticism? It's because they're black and white almost always. So they only have two choices in life. I'm either a good person or a bad person. So if that's the only two options you have, I'm good or I'm bad. If those are the only two options you have, I'm a good person or bad person. Anything that comes at me that comes even remotely close to saying I'm a bad person, I'm not. So there's no spectrum. It's black or white. I'm good or bad. And so what people will choose is they'll choose to be good. So they can't incrementally grow. They just can't because they can't receive anything because they're going to be bad. So they can't receive anything so they can't even enter into their mind. It can't enter into their mind.
So that just clicked for me.
Right?
Because I have a daughter that it's either all or nothing.
Right.
Which is she does the same thing of either she's good or she's bad.
Right. This is not going to do well for her. Like this will not be good for her because she won't be able to grow because she's always, so what she does is she's going to train everybody around her to go ahead and not give her any criticism.
Yep. And I just
Because,
talked to her about that last night.
yeah. And so what a blessing, at a young age where you can catch it and say, honey, sweetheart, this is not going to serve you well because you're not all good and you're not all bad. You can always get better if you're growing. If you're growing, like if you're a rock, okay, you're probably not going to change, but you're not a rock. And so and so you can see the wide swings because they're all good or all bad. It's weird. It's like, and they tend to take things to the extreme. You're like, so I'm a terrible mom. I'm a terrible dad. I'm a terrible daughter. Well, I don't know. I guess in some areas, yeah, probably. And so black and white people, this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad. And so it's like they have to be educated. Like this is not going to, but they do it to manipulate people. They take things to extreme. So you're saying I'm a terrible mom. Well, okay, in a particular area, let's say yes, you are. Or I'm a terrible dad. And people try to protect you from doing that. Like I've said to multiple people, I just suck as a dad. I just do. And they try to protect me. It's not bad. Like they're not bad, but they don't understand that's how he's going to grow is to recognize that he's a terrible dad. He's not saying he's terrible in everything all the time. He's failed. but he has an expectation that's very different. It's like driving a car. I expect me to be 100% good driver 100% of the time. Have I been that? I have not. But if I accept, well, nobody's perfect, I can die. I have a less chance of dying in an automobile accident if I go and say, I can't go ahead and be a good driver 99% of the time. All it takes is once and I'm dead, or somebody else is. And why people don't seem to understand that is just strange to me. So people revert back to, I'm good or bad. And they can't grow. Like, that's just come to me in the last week. I'm like, that's so reason why. Any other thoughts on question 1? Is being black and white, lazy, stupid, ignorant, something else? Okay. Number 2.
What's your daughter's personality?
I have to test that one yet.
So this is how it works. Okay. This is how it works. The analytic will tend to go ahead and have high extremes. They tend to go ahead and have tremendous pride issues. And so they like to do things well. And so they like to do things well. Well, let's start off with the amiable first. So the lowest frequency will have pride issues in how to treat people, and it's the way they treat them. So what they do is the amiable will manipulate, or whatever you want to say it. They're the natural chameleon. They're going to tell people what they want to hear. So they learn at a very young age, just tell other people what they want to hear, and then people will like you. And they do, but they don't love you. And eventually they get to know you. You're just a liar, and you just tell everybody what they want to hear. But behind their backs, yeah, no, that's something different. So the amiable personality is going to go ahead and have huge issues because they don't feel loved. And the reason they don't feel loved is they're not. And the reason they're not is because they don't love other people. They just like them. So they don't know how. Tom Kuhn says you can't give something to somebody else that you don't first have yourself. The analytic is going to follow the rules. And so often people are going to like the analytic-ish, but they get picky when they get hurt or wounded, or when mistakes, they'll go into the smallest and they'll miss the big picture. So they have tremendous issues with pride because they know a lot of details about what a lot of people would say are irrelevant things. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying a lot of people would say that. They have a hard time seeing the big picture. And so they have a hard time grasping and growing in big picture things. The expressive, they're going to go ahead and have wide swings, wide emotional swings. So these two will be naturally black and white. You're either a good person or bad. Who determines that? The amiable does. The amiable determines if people are good or bad. They think they're God. So it's just, you're good, you're bad. Why? Because I think it. And it's based on their own. The analytic, you're either smart or you're not. And they're smart. And that's thinking the way they think. And so they're going to think black and white. Both of these are going to tend to think black and white. The expressive personality, like it's dicey for them. I don't know what creates the most fun, so they can be black and white and they can be so mushy. There's not anything. The driver, because we have a hardest time probably seeing ourselves. The driver tends to have an advantage because they have a goal. And hitting that goal is really important to them, whether it's a life vision or a goal or business, something. So they tend to go ahead and maybe have more out of body experiences. And if they take ownership, which it seems like they often do, if you're taking ownership, you're just like, I'm stupid. Like, I'm just stupid. Okay, I'm stupid. What am I going to do about it? So as long as we take ownership, people who don't take ownership are either ignorant, stupid. They don't understand. When you're blaming somebody else for something, you're giving up the ability to control or learn anything. You're giving it up. You're becoming a slave and you're giving away your freedom. Question number 2. Why do adults act like children? And what are we supposed to do with them?
Don't know.
So I've had the advantage of thinking about this question for decades, over 30 years, going on probably over 40 years. What have you come up with, Mark? I don't know either. That's why I'm asking the question. I don't know. It's complicated, right? Number 3, what happens when adults can't connect the dots between their terrible choices and consequences? Like like you just look at people who get drunk. And it's like they feel miserable. They're throwing up, they feel miserable, headache and everything. And it's like, do you know why you're feeling that? No. I mean, they do actually. So it's an extreme example, but the further it gets, like in thinking about today's, it's like the future, the longer the consequence is from the choice, the harder it is to connect the choices to the consequences. So that's why they say with young children, you want to make sure the consequence is very close to the choice. But I've wondered about this for decades. Like, God, why is the consequence? It can be days, weeks, months, years, decades from the choice to the consequence. And when you try to go ahead and tell them, they won't, it's like they won't, like in Bonhoeffer's theory of stupidity, it's like they won't see their choices and consequences connected. So what happens when adults can't connect the dots between terrible choices and consequences? I don't know. Anybody have any thoughts on that one? Okay, if you do, just jump in. Number 4, what causes adults to revert back to being a young child? And how do you treat them when they do? And so, like, this connects back into another, this connects back into another session weeks ago when Rosanna read something from Facebook. So there are good things on, there's something good. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut. And so it says, when trauma gets triggered, you don't act your age, you act the age your wound was created. So what causes adults to revert back to young children? So your wound was created, so it never healed. think of it this way. Your mind is a house, and somewhere in the house, there's a locked room that you haven't opened for years. Something happened in that room when you were 8 or 14, the younger version of yourself. Something happened in that room. So what you did was turn off the lights, shut the door, and you kept on living in the rest of the house. But that room doesn't disappear. It just waits. The moment something enters your mind, and it sounds like the old fear, the door comes barreling open, and all of a sudden you are right back at the age that the hurt happened. And that's why you shut down. That's why you panic. That's why you get defensive, because it's never today's version of you reacting. It's still a young version of you trapped in that room that's never going to get the finished story. But here's the thing. True healing is not pretending that the room doesn't exist. It's walking back into that room, turning on the lights, making sure the younger version of you feels safe. I don't agree with that. We'll come back. Because when you do that, you stop reacting as that younger version of yourself, and your reaction finally starts growing up with you, and you stop acting like that entire room doesn't exist. You take your entire house back. When I say I don't agree, I'm not disagreeing, but I think I see things from a different perspective. So, and you finally feel safe. I don't think what we're looking for is to feel safe. That's childhood. What we're looking for, what we really want, is not to feel safe. We want to feel strong. Because when we feel strong, that's when we can go ahead and have confidence. This might be why and we can actually heal. This might be why we attack the person that we feel the safest with and beat the living crap out of them. Well, that's not so good. So it seems like here's the answer for number 4. You act the age your wound was created. Number 5, what do you do when adults can't even do simple, consistent things and want to explain themselves? So people who want to explain themselves, it's like they're not confident. So the 3 things for creating strong men, strong women, or strong people, it seems like, is consistent consideration and competence. And we're doing podcasts on that on Sunday as well, and other days of the week too. And so we're starting to get drilled down into that. And so we have 3 sub things under consistent. So and then 3 things under consideration and 3 things under competence. And then number 6 is, what do you do when adults can't do simple consideration of others? And 7 is, what do you do when adults don't seem to be able to gain competence in even simple things? So what we need is not to talk about this. We need to do something with it. So it's almost like math. Like, can you be consistent? Can you be consistent in emailing Mark, like I've told Victor to do, every single day? I don't care, just every single day. And then put on there day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. Like, how many days can you be consistent and not miss a day? So in pickleball, she's like, you hit cross court back and forth, and can you go ahead and do it 50 times? Can you be consistent 50 times? So how consistent can you be in hitting the ball? how consistent can you be in whatever you're doing? Bricio, great to have you on today. Anything you'd like to accomplish, Bricio, or comments on any of the 7 questions we asked?
No, at the moment I was just driving and listening to the podcast.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nora, any thoughts, questions, insights, anything you got?
No, I mean, yeah, it's a lot to think about. Don't really have any answers.
Elaine, how about you?
Well, the first part very much clicked with me. With the whole, taking it from one degree to the other and each personality. So definitely would be intrigued to dig into that and figure out how to fix that or how to look at it a different light or open up some doors or something to counteract that part of it. Because I don't think that's like something that somebody wants to live with the rest of their life, being like that or, dealing with things like that. Um, as for the rest of the questions, those are questions that have very much intrigued my mind. I don't know the answers to them, and I'm not sure if I know how to find the answers to them, but definitely would be worth going on the journey to figure it out.
Mark, do you think the consistency thing has to be something that you don't really want to do? Because you could say, well, I'm consistent at, pick whatever you want to, but do you think it has to be something where it's something you don't really want to do?
Well, I think there's different levels, right? So I think level 1 consistency is, can you be consistent in doing something you like doing? A lot of people can't. So I think that, level one is maybe doing something you like doing. Okay, so I got that and I can do that. Good. Then it's something that I slightly dislike. Okay. I can do that. Then it's something I strongly dislike. Okay, I can be consistent there. Then it's like, can I do something consistent that I don't think is right? I think it's wrong. I think it's not, I think it's going to hurt me. Do I have enough faith in God, or do I have enough faith in myself or in whoever's giving me the direction to do it? Counterintuitive coaching is the highest level of coaching, and it's doing coaching that isn't going to work. So I use sports as an analogy, as an example. So let's say that I am, in my group that I'm in, I'm the best pickleball player there is. And so when Courtney said, Mark, you have to do it a different way, I know my pickleball game's going to go down. I know it's going to go down because it's got to go down to go back up. So a good coach is going to tell you, what I'm going to tell you is going to make your game probably go down. And then it's going to go back up again. Because what you're doing is effective, but it's only effective in the dimension you're in. So I think that there's like, I've been playing pickleball for 3 years, and it's fascinating how much Courtney is telling me that I know I've been working on. And I've never even looked at the different levels because they really haven't interested me. But it's interesting on how, when I look the last 3 years, where I've said, Mark, your consistency isn't where it needs to be. You have to work on consistency. You have to get the consistency down. But then there's things that she's told me that are totally, I'm like, I didn't know that. Like, I never even thought of that. That is so awesome. And then after all of that, then you have to look at discernment. Like, when do you trust people? When do you trust God? How do you trust people? How do you trust God? What does that even look like? So I've done a lot of work with pastors over the years, and it's fascinating to me on how they'll get up, especially in a fundraising thing, and they'll say, trust God, trust God, trust God. But you even try to have a meeting with a pastor, and that pastor has to know what that meeting's about. Well, I'll tell you when I get there. No, I want to know what it's like chihuahuas. It's like they're all hyper, like they're afraid they're going to get eaten or something. It's like, yeah, oh, yappies. So how do you build a system, Nora? Like, if somebody doesn't know, like in pickleball, it's pretty simple. Mark, you just destroy everybody you're playing with. Okay, play with a 4 or a 5. And then it's clear. I mean, that's what I love about sports. It's clear. You're not good. You think you're good. You're not. It depends on where you're playing. The same thing is true, I think, with being a mom or being a dad or being a friend. Like when Jonathan died, everybody started telling me how much they cared about me and my family. I remember thinking, that's interesting, because over the last 10 years, it doesn't seem like, or 20 years, it doesn't seem like you care. Now, all of a sudden, okay, we have a death of a son, and people say they care. And so, how did I process that? I processed that the same way I processed my dad. And it's like, maybe they're caring as best as they can care. They're not growing in their caring. They haven't grown in how they care. So they're caring. What they're saying is, I'm caring for you, and they are in the best way they can because they're not growing in how they've cared. Great thoughts. Anybody else have any other thoughts? So people tend to be thinkers or doers, and people who are thinkers often talk. So you can say people are talkers or doers, or thinkers or doers. What do you think I am? A talker or a doer? Or a thinker or a doer?
A doer.
Right? Elaine, Nora, what do you think?
Doer.
Nora.
Doer.
So people who are doers need to learn to think more. People who tend to be thinkers or talkers need to do more, because it's the perfect blend of thinking and doing that produces the maximum benefit in life. So people who are doers, they often don't think. You got to think. You got to think. But people who are thinkers often, or talkers often, aren't doers. Well, you got to do. So whatever we tend to be, what's that? Whatever we tend to be, we need to do the opposite of that. Now, the driver tends to be more of a doer. The analytic tends to be more of a thinker. So because I'm an analytic driver, there's a balance, like there's both of those, which would seem to be good, but it could be bad, because maybe I should be talking when I'm thinking, or maybe I should be or talking when I'm doing, or maybe I'm doing when I should be talking. So I do want to do something with this podcast. But I know I know that for me to do it, I'm going to need encouragement from all of you. Why is that, Mark? Because it'll take me, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours to figure out how to put this bad boy into a system. And then based on my past experiences, no one or very few people will go ahead and use it. Well, that doesn't do any good. Questions?
No, I don't think so.
So the question you guys all have is, so Mark, what can we do to help you do something with this? Great question. So I don't know, like you text me and once in a while and between now and next, you know, next Wednesday. And you text me and say, I'll help you, or I'll work with you, or I'll assist you, or I'll use it, whatever. It's you go ahead and say, hey, I'll do it with you. Questions?
No.
And so each of you, I look at each of you as being doers. And so I want to impact each of you like tremendously. And if it was just one of you, I'd do it for one of you. I'd spend 2, 3, 4 hours just to help you. If you're the only one that's helped, I would go ahead and do it. But my real heart is to go ahead and go beyond you. To go beyond you, to care for somebody beyond you, to help somebody beyond you. My goal, my heart is to go ahead and help you help that person without me being involved at all. And why is that?
Not sure.
Because Tom Kuhn says, I don't know, once you're 50, and then you're on beyond 50, you're on your back nine, like in golf. Front nine is 9 holes, you're on your back nine. And so you realize, hey, I'm mortal. I'm going to die. Not necessarily today, it could be. Well, that hit me when I was probably 40 or maybe 30 or maybe in my 20s. So I've been under this for a long time, but it's not bad. It's just I need to live every day with significance. And so if you guys encourage me and say you'll use it, like struggling with it, struggling through it, because I'm going to come up with a lot. I just will. It's how my mind works. Because I've been working on this stuff for decades. So now this week I could make the breakthrough. You guys, any one of you could provide the linchpin, the missing piece. Like you could see something that I haven't seen, understand something I haven't understood, plug something in that all of a sudden the whole picture gets turned on. Appreciate you all. This has been awesome. You guys have a great week. Can't wait to connect again next week. We'll see you. Bye-bye.